Success can feel like an elusive destination, a point we hope to reach but often doubt we're approaching. The journey can be uncertain, full of late nights, sacrifices, and moments where progress seems invisible. But what if the signs that you're closer to success are already there, quietly surrounding you, waiting to be recognized? Most people overlook these signals, mistaking them for mere noise or routine aspects of life. Yet, if you pause and observe closely, you'll see that they reveal more than just day-to-day persistence. They show progress, depth, and momentum. Recognizing these signs can shift how you view your journey and fuel the final push toward your goals. These signs are subtle, but they're significant. They reflect resilience, growth, alignment, and the subtle ways life responds when you're inching ever nearer to your breakthrough. The first sign that you're closer to success than you think is resilience. Resilience is not just enduring a setback, it's the muscle you build every time you rise after being knocked down. It's easy to underestimate this trait, seeing it as just a reaction to failure or disappointment. However, resilience is a cornerstone of lasting success. Think about it. Every successful person you know of has faced setbacks, often monumental ones. What set them apart wasn't avoiding these challenges, but confronting them and persisting regardless of them. Each time you get up after being pushed down, you're teaching yourself an invaluable lesson, one that cannot be learned in books or seminars, but only through living. I remember the early days when life seemed more inclined to test than reward me. I wanted things to happen quickly, as most do, but each setback forced me to look deeper, work harder, and refine my approach. Those years taught me that resilience isn't just surviving difficulties, it's finding a way to thrive because of them. When you face challenges and yet maintain your momentum, you're proving to yourself that you're prepared for the weight of success. Success isn't for those who crumble at the first sign of trouble. It's for those who can pick themselves up and move forward even when it would be easier to stay down. Resilience manifests in different ways. It might be the way you respond to criticism, taking feedback as fuel for growth instead of letting it deflate you. It could be your willingness to step back, reassess, and adjust your strategy without losing your commitment. Sometimes resilience is seen in how you deal with the everyday grind showing up when no one is watching, when there's no immediate reward. When you continue to give your best in those moments, you're not just preparing for success, you're living in its prelude. That's the real test. Can you hold on to your vision when the world gives you every reason to let it go? A resilient spirit builds layers of fortitude over time. It's like laying down bricks for a house you live in later. Each moment of perseverance adds to that structure, even if the progress isn't immediately visible. The key here is understanding that resilience compounds. It's a trait that builds on itself, making you stronger with each test. If you've been through a few storms and can still find the energy to navigate forward, you're exhibiting one of the most powerful signs that success is within reach. It may not always feel triumphant when you're in the thick of it, but rest assured that inner strength you're cultivating is an undeniable indicator that you're moving toward your goals. There's a misconception that resilience is only about bouncing back to where you were. The truth is, it's about moving beyond your previous position. It's about learning enough from that setback to not only regain your ground, but also propel yourself forward with newfound wisdom. A setback can become a setup for something greater if approached with the right mindset. So if you find yourself coming out of struggles not just unbroken, but stronger, more determined, and more knowledgeable, that's a sign that success is closer than it appears. Resilience refines you, molds you into the kind of person who won't just achieve success, but sustain it once it arrives. Next, the second sign that you're closer to success than you think is noticing small wins. It's easy to overlook these as minor or inconsequential, especially when you're focused on larger goals that seem so far out of reach. Yet, those small wins are crucial. They're not just indicators of progress, but proof that the seeds you've been planting are starting to sprout. Success doesn't burst forth fully formed. It's the culmination of many tiny victories strung together. If you start recognizing these moments, it's a signal that you're building towards something substantial, even if it's not yet visible in full. Imagine the early stages of building a business or pursuing a personal goal. You might spend months, even years, feeling like you're pushing a boulder uphill without any sign of it budging. Then one day something shifts. A client says yes, a project gets completed ahead of schedule, or a mentor gives you unsolicited praise. It's tempting to brush these moments aside, thinking they're too small to celebrate. But make no mistake, those little milestones are the foundation on which bigger achievements rest. They remind you that the process is working, that you're developing momentum. It's like climbing a mountain and finding a flatter ledge where you can catch your breath. You may not be at the summit, but you're undeniably higher than you were before. When I first started in public speaking, I would measure success only in terms of packed auditoriums and standing ovations. But the truth is, those grand moments were few and far between at the beginning. What kept me going were the smaller wins. Each of these moments was like a match struck in the dark, brief but illuminating. When I look back years later, I realized that those were the exact points that strung together to create my breakthrough. Small wins are also a sign that you're starting to embody the habits and mindset needed for larger success. Every small victory comes from a series of actions, decisions, and attitudes that align with your goals. If you're consistently seeing progress, no matter how minor, it's evidence that you're training yourself to succeed. Small wins also build confidence. It's like filling a reservoir one drop at a time. Eventually, it becomes deep enough to sustain you during dry spells. Confidence isn't built in one leap. It's accumulated through many little moments where you pushed, persevered, and came out with a result, however modest. The importance of acknowledging these moments can't be overstated. They're not only motivational, but serve as practical feedback. Each win, no matter how small, is telling you something. This approach works. This skill is growing. This effort is yielding results. It's like having a conversation with your future self, where each small success whispers, keep going, you're on the right path. If you've begun to see this pattern of small but consistent wins, it's one of the clearest signs that success is not a distant dream, but an emerging reality. So take a moment and reflect. Have there been recent days where you accomplished something that made you feel a little closer to your goal? Did you meet someone who offered insight or support that shifted your perspective? If so, don't dismiss these as luck or coincidence. They're part of the unfolding tapestry of your success. Recognizing them, savoring them, even writing them down gives you the encouragement needed to keep pushing forward. These small wins are not just breadcrumbs, they are road signs pointing you closer and closer to your destination. Next, the third sign that you're closer to success than you think is when your goals and values start aligning. This alignment is a subtle but powerful indicator that you're on the right path. At the start of any journey, it's common to chase success defined by external metrics, titles, money, recognition. But as you move forward and grow, something shifts. You begin to see that real success feels different. It's not just about achieving goals, it's about achieving the right goals, the ones that resonate deeply with who you are and what you stand for. When your daily actions start to reflect your true values, you're no longer just working towards success, you're living in alignment with it. There comes a point where you realize that the hustle and hard work are not sustainable unless they're connected to something meaningful. Early on, you might take on any project or job that comes your way just to build momentum or gain experience. But as you mature in your journey, you notice that some projects fill you with energy while others drain you. This isn't by accident. It's your internal compass guiding you. When you start aligning what you do with what you believe in, your work stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like an expression of your true self. If you found yourself saying, "This feels right," or "This is what I was meant to do," it's a powerful sign that success is closer than you think. I remember when I first discovered this in my own life. At the beginning of my career, I was chasing numbers, sales numbers, audience numbers, and even the number of engagements on my calendar. It wasn't until I began focusing on what truly mattered to me, teaching others, sharing ideas that transformed lives, that my work shifted from being a job to being a calling. Suddenly, the hours I spent preparing for seminars or writing were not just tasks, they were part of a mission that aligned with my core values. That's when I felt that success wasn't just out there waiting to be achieved. It was already becoming part of my everyday life. This alignment between goals and values also brings with it a new type of motivation. It's no longer about pushing yourself to work harder because you have to. It becomes about working harder because you want to. Because it feels like every step is taking you closer to not just any finish line, but the right finish line. When you notice that you're not having to convince yourself to stay committed, that you're naturally drawn to your work, that's when you know you're walking the path of true success. It's a shift from chasing to embodying. When your efforts align with your values, challenges don't disappear, but they do feel different. The sacrifices you make don't weigh as heavily because you're not sacrificing for something superficial. You're doing it for something meaningful. Late nights and early mornings carry less resentment and more anticipation. The road doesn't feel as long when every mile brings you closer to a destination that fits you perfectly. If you find yourself feeling energized despite the obstacles, that's not a fluke. It's a sign that you're already experiencing the essence of success. Some people spend their whole lives chasing goals that, when reached, feel hollow. They climb ladders only to realize they're leaning against the wrong wall. But if you're starting to experience the satisfaction of doing work that feels right to your core, you're miles ahead. This alignment is rare and precious. It means you're not just moving forward, you're moving in a way that's sustainable, fulfilling, and true to who you are. You're not just achieving success, you're redefining it to match your deepest aspirations. Reflect for a moment. Have you noticed your days feeling more purposeful? Do your decisions feel more natural and less forced? Are you choosing paths not because they're easy or lucrative, but because they resonate with your values? If so, that's your inner compass confirming that you're on track. When you follow that, success stops being a finish line and becomes part of your journey. You're no longer just striving for an external prize. You're living in harmony with your ambitions. And that's one of the clearest signs that success is already taking shape. One of the defining traits of a successful entrepreneur is the ability to look beyond the immediate and see the bigger picture. Many people fail in business not because they lack talent or resources, but because they get trapped in the cycle of chasing short-term wins at the expense of long-term stability and growth. They get excited about quick profits, fast trends, and immediate results, but fail to understand that true business success is a marathon, not a sprint. When you focus only on what's directly in front of you, you risk making decisions that might give you a temporary boost, but damage your future potential. A true entrepreneur is willing to sacrifice instant gratification for sustainable growth, knowing that real wealth and impact are built over time. A long-term vision acts as your compass. It keeps you steady during the storms of market fluctuations, economic downturns, and competitive pressures. Without it, every opportunity or challenge will feel like a make or break moment, leading you to make emotional or rushed decisions. With it, you can evaluate every choice through the lens of your ultimate destination. For example, you might pass on a partnership that could bring quick money, but could also harm your brand reputation, because you understand the value of maintaining trust and credibility in the long run. You might choose to reinvest profits into research, technology, or team development instead of spending them on unnecessary luxuries, because you know those investments will multiply your growth in the future. The power of a long-term vision is that it allows you to see setbacks as temporary and progress as cumulative. Every failure becomes a learning experience, every small win becomes a building block, and every tough decision becomes a stepping stone toward your ultimate goal. Entrepreneurs with a long-term vision don't panic when the market dips, they adapt. They don't get carried away when they have a good quarter. They remain grounded. They understand that a business journey is full of seasons, and each one plays a role in shaping the bigger outcome. This mindset also influences how you build relationships. If you think short-term, you may focus on extracting as much value as you can from a deal or a client in the moment. But if you think long-term, you focus on building trust, delivering consistent value, and creating partnerships that last years or even decades. The same applies to your team. Short-term thinking might have you treating employees as disposable, but long-term thinking pushes you to invest in their growth, loyalty, and well-being, because a strong, committed team is one of the greatest assets any business can have. Long-term vision doesn't mean moving slowly. It means moving strategically. It's about balancing patience with action, understanding that while speed can get you noticed, endurance is what keeps you in the game. You might adopt strategies that don't yield immediate results, but position you for massive payoffs in the future, like entering a new market early, developing a new product line, or investing in branding before it's profitable. These moves require confidence, foresight, and the ability to withstand uncertainty, but they are often the very decisions that define industry leaders. And here's the reality: most people will not understand your long-term vision. They might question your decisions, criticize your pace, or doubt your direction. But as an entrepreneur, you cannot let other people's short-term perspective derail your focus. You have to protect your vision fiercely, even when the results aren't visible yet, even when the payoff feels far away. You have to keep showing up, making disciplined choices, and trusting that the seeds you're planting today will grow into something far greater than what quick wins could ever give you. If you build your business with a short-term mindset, it will be fragile, easily shaken by competition or market shifts. But if you build it with a long-term vision, it will be resilient, adaptable, and capable of lasting impact. Your decisions will have depth, your growth will have stability, and your success will be something you can sustain for decades, not just for a season.